Okay, I just wanted to say before we get into this thing, thanks so much to our hosts here. Thanks so much to the students that listened to what we had to say and talk about. You're all Cornell royalty to me. I'm so glad to see so many of you here, and also some older friends too. It's wonderful to be able to show you where we're at now and to have some fun together. So thank you, and the class, just seeing you do all that stuff and what happened in less than 36 hours with movements, with the voices. It changed a lot even from the last time I saw it yesterday. I think it's really a sign of how much you can do when you set your mind to something and you open your heart to creation. And that's why we're here. I'm going to say a couple words about Dale, who's going to say a couple words about me, then we're going to go into a little overview, just a little personal sides. You know, and Dale, I know, would want me to mention this certain thing, and we did mention it earlier in the class, regarding the repetition, but you know, to Dale, it's such an important fact. Dale Williams was raised in a working-class Catholic family in suburban Baltimore, Maryland in the 1960s. In 7th grade, a nun at the parochial school he attended introduced the students to painting with oil pastels. Every student drew the same assignment: trace some bottles, shade them with the color, then shade the background with the same color but in a different value. One day after school, Dale decided to use all of the pastels in the box. He drew smeary patches of every color to create a sky. Then he drew a hump of a black hill below the sky. At each side of the hill he drew a bare blackened tree. Atop the hill between the trees he drew a tombstone and wrote his name and birth date on it. Above the tombstone he drew a silhouette of a dog's head with its eye hanging out. In a school exhibition he won honorable mention for this work entitled My Grave. Nothing had prepared him for the spontaneous mystery of this drawing, and he has mentioned to it many times. He mentioned it to me many times over the years in our countless conversations. He has ruminated on the cause of its imaginative eruption ever since. His art for the past 30 years has been dedicated to revealing and unraveling the hidden undersurface of the skin of the world.
Thank you, Ben. I just want to say thanks to Katie and everyone here at Cornell that made this possible. It's certainly an unexpected event for me, and the highlight of my spring, which has had many low events. And I'm happy to be here. And I can't believe we're going to perform this again. I'm really worried about it, but we'll see what happens. So, Ben. At Ben, do they know this? That at Ben you studied under?
Yeah, I guess it's right, but I read. But yeah. Tell them a little more about me. I'd like to be reminded of things I've probably forgotten.
Ben and I worked together. That's how we met each other. We worked at for the same educational publisher, doing dreary workaday kind of things, and discovered we had a kind of sympathetic artistic visions, despite my being a visual artist and his being a writer, and eventually we came to collaborate. At Cornell, Ben memorized lines for Elizabeth Isaacs in South Hall. He played Puck in Steve Lacy's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and apparently jumped off of some balcony to the stage, which I only learned about last night. He sniffed the daffodils of Wordsworth in the office of Geneva Mears. And, as in a bad novel, his mouth fell open while he listened to Tom Garst describe a trip to Cuba to meet Ernest Hemingway. And he was, almost against his will, led into the fog of Bleak House by the lectures of Richard Martin. When a senior, he edited Open Field, a magazine which had rejected many of Ben's submissions. Soon after graduation, he enrolled in the writing program at York University, pursuing a master's degree at night while working during the day inputting data at the New York Stock Exchange. At NYU, he met the writer Ann Pearson Weiss. In 1989, they married in downtown Brooklyn and since have shared a life devoted to writing and supported by a range of day jobs as odd as the one already mentioned.
And I wanted to mention, of course, the poet Robert Dana, who is responsible for me coming to Cornell in the first place. And some of you know the story, but the main thing is that he enabled me to come here and afford to come here and to be able to embark on the mission that I'm still on, and which I was able to share with you all here in classes when I'm here. And I hope this is the beginning of a conversation for an awful lot of us. I really mean that. One thing I really want to point out first about the project that we are presenting here today, Cage, Dies, Bird, Flies, is that it's a departure for both Dale and I. He is mainly a painter, I am an essayist and a fiction writer. We have both found, however, that these core practices benefit from frequent radical stretches into territory that implies new freedom to explore mediums and themes such as the pathos of the imaginations, continual negotiations between personal history and the often conflicting imposed history or myths of society at large. We see connections between our project and a wide range of preceding artists who use combinations of words, images, movements, and sounds to develop meaning that stand apart from the given world to embrace its dramas and mysteries. That list would include the painter Philip Guston's collaborations with poet Clark Coolidge, the spiels of Gertrude Stein, the picture poems of Kenneth Patchen, the linguistic frolic of Jackson McLough, the compositions of John Cage, the satirical rock and roll of the Fugs, some of us remember them, the radical jazz improvisations of Rasan, Roland Kirk, and Abby Lincoln, the drastic plays of Beckett, the concrete poems of Apollinaire, the illustrated works of Blake, and the word-stuffed sausages of German sculptor Dieter Roth, who actually did stuff sausages with texts and put casing around them, and they are displayed every once in a while, and they've just been decaying into this new kind of thing ever since. Cage, Dies, Bird, Flies is a multi-phase collaboration. Each of these phases consists of 81 artworks inspired by my texts. These works in turn form the basis of books, exhibitions, recordings, performances. The plan is to execute 10 phases. 3 phases have been completed so far, and tonight we'll be delivering excerpts from each. Illuminations by the Slice, Phase 1, was created between 2012 and 2014. Giant Miniature Illuminations, Phase 2, was created between 2014 and 2016. The newest phase that's been completed, the Luminous Dark, Landscapes Found and Lost, was created between 2017 and 2019. I'll add that we have mock-ups of the books of each of these phases over here to the side next to Sandra. So if any of you want to pick those up, they're not fragile. We can get other copies. So if you want to page through and just sort of see how it all looks mocked up in book form, which is one of the ways we envision this appearing eventually in permanent form. And I also would like to say that all 81 works in Phase 1 that are the size of that, so poster size, huge circus poster size, all 81 of those were exhibited at a gallery in Brooklyn that was enormous, a 2-story gallery, and they were piled up almost over 1 story tall in this room. And there's a couple of images of that were at the front when everything flipped through. So that's where that was located. The In Progress 4th stage takes the form of a scroll, paginated so that no page is the same length. A page could be 2 inches long or 10 feet long. And Dale has the text, and we are now experimenting. He thinks he has found the right medium. He's looking at rice paper for a medium. And again, we do think of these not just as something in a drawer, but actually to be reproduced. And we're going to try to make it so that this can be reproduced. The conceptual page lengths will be a key to the book. The 5th phase will employ the conceit of the cameo to create a series of oval word portraits. For all phases, the absolute melding of word and image is a signal feature. The visual style can range from illustrative clarity to meditative obscurity.
And so each painting in Phase 1, just to say something about the medium and how they appear, this is, as Ben pointed out, one example. So each image in Phase 1 are 4 feet by 3 feet, pretty much. A lot of them were drawn with oil stick on paper, such as this one. Most of them are done with acrylic paint on paper. In contrast to Phase 1, all the images of Phase 2 were drawn on smaller paper of 6 inches by 8 inches, and that's what you see displayed on the wall here around you. Again, in Phase 2, Giant Miniature Illuminations, there are 81 images. And this is a selection of those. Part of Ben's and my collaboration has to do with deciding on many various things before we start. And the idea of having phase 2 being smaller images that were more detailed and kind of draw the viewer in was certainly one thing that we decided on at the very beginning. Okay, and phase 3 images, which you'll see in our presentation, are kind of a hybrid form, juxtaposing a photograph, usually of an urban landscape shot in the streets of New York City, with a drawing that was created in the location shown in the photograph.
All right. Hit it, DJ Zuri. Master Canaries of the Radio, accompanied by organ and violin.
Shall we click to the cover for phase 1?
Why not?
Illuminations!
By
The
Slice.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love, human cannonball, non-proliferation treaty inked, human cannonball, non-proliferate. Treaty inked, human cannonball.
Rambo, Rambo, Flambo!
Walk about my 15 shoes. Whoa, my 15 shoes. Oh, whoa, my 15 shoes. Oh, whoa, my 15 shoes. Oh, whoa, my 15 shoes. Whoa, come on, my 50 shoes. Whoa, my 15 shoes.
We interrupt this reading for breaking news. This just in. Bottled water found on Mars.
Phoenix arises from ashtray.
Senator runs unsuccessfully against himself. Often appearing at rallies where this campaign song plays for too long. Never lose, having nothing to lose. Never lose, having nothing to lose. Never lose, having nothing to lose. Never lose, having nothing to lose.
Dumb breaks 102 years.
Then I checked in to the bed of nails and breakfast.
Do you know the song 100 Bottles of Beer on the Wall?
Yeah.
Okay. Dum 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 dum. Elephant man, grand elephant man. Elephant man, great found, elephant man, elephant man, elephant man, great found, elephant man, great found, elephant man, great found, elephant man, elephant man, elephant man, great found, elephant man, great found, elephant man, great found, elephant man, elephant man, elephant man, great found.
Sisyphus and gold or board bus in downtown Mount Vernon. One-way ticket to a place that is flat. Phoenix.
Click to cover for phase
Yep,
two.
phase 2, let's go. Might as well.
Giant.
Really giant.
Miniature.
Illuminations.
Spatulas grow on trees. Oh, spatulas, spatulas grow on trees.
Oh, do they grow the spatulas in the spring on the trees? They're handed a menu. Look at the menu. Put the menu down. Pick up the menu. Squint at the menu. And it's still true. Crumb attains side dish status.
Covered brawl spills into backyard. Now you're going to notice there's a lot of extra writing on this, because when I would make these drawings, I was often like, very, kind of depressed and in despair about many different things as one finds oneself. So I would write these other things in here. Some of them are kind of insignificant, but the bottom is pretty good. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. All of my authority of self has been sucked up in a straw. Where? In a straw. My work explores, or explodes, the modesty of despair. Every few million years, the planets align for me. Covered wall spills into backyard.
Hope it is the right text. I must tell myself it is the right text to make it more likely the right text that I'll read next. There are many, there are more, there are many that are almost right. Only one right next text though. So here I assure myself once more quietly and a little bit loudly, one more time has come for the right one, maybe, possibly, unless not, never. So here goes another reassurance to the self that it is no other, not now, others later. Others and others later, of course, though the script says what it is, a script, but a draft. I must remind myself that, in regard to get on to the other things, move on, after I read the right text, standards being high, only the right one is good. World tour soon, universal tour of the only right, carefully planned or insurrection at this point, to integrate the apparatus of the constitutional milieu production, righto this text. Snake fluffs pillow, says prayers.
Lay your sleeping head, my glove. Lay your sleeping head. Lay your sleeping head, my glove. Lay your sleeping head. Lay your sleeping head, my glove. Lay your sleeping head. Lay your sleeping head, my glove. Lay your sleeping head.
Yeah, please. Not the 1st, not the 8th, not the 7th, not the 17th, but the 38th time is the charm.
Rules with an iron. 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 Rules with an iron murmur.
The world premiere of Nanook of the South, sweating in his fur cap, under his fur beach umbrella, behind his fur book, sipping his fur drink.
Put these glasses on again. Crazy about cobalt, crazy about cobalt,
Crazy about cobalt.
crazy about cobalt, crazy about cobalt,
Crazy about cobalt, crazy about cobalt,
crazy about cobalt today, crazy about cobalt today.
Beware! Head for the hills, look out! It's a flan with a plan.
Click to cover
Well, we might as well bring full
for
circle.
phase 3. The
Luminous
dark
landscapes, longscapes, eye scrapes,
fount
and lost.
jungle of clarities confuses her. Jungle of clarities confuses her. Jungle of clarities confuses her. Jungle of clarities confuses her.
Chandelier sails the seven seas. Crossroads. At a crossroads.
Paul Bunyan of Shoe. Trees, rules, these woods.
Fish scales of the like only a soul could grow.
Fire-breathing dragons park here. Fire-breathing dragons park here. Fire-breathing dragons park here. Fire-breathing dragons park here.
Not there. When late light and tree leaves advocate for political change.
Call me harpooned whale of a time. In high school, they called me snail. Then they called me whale. And then they called me snail whale. I was the whale snail. Slowly but surely, the snail made the ark. I am a man called Dale. I was born in the belly of a whale. I was spit up near Christmas on that dangerous isthmus between the seas of to hope and to fear. And I had a harpooned whale of a time, my dear.
Lonely, rural, oven mitts, handshaking spree.